Hi everybody, we're at day 7 of my Momumentary. Today I want to talk about life in general, living as the parent of a food allergic, and I want to discuss the fact that it's not about race. And why do I want to discuss the fact that it's not about race? Because people like me have experienced different issues that pertain to our racial identity and or cultural identities. I have families that I've dealt with over the years that have been African American, of European descent, of Asian descent, Latino, people who've been from all over. And I don't treat them any differently than I would expect anybody to treat me. However, the rest of the world doesn't see things that way. There are parts of the world that still do see things in black and white. And if you don't fit into certain molds of what people believe to be a certain way, and they don't know what to say or how to deal with certain things, then unfortunately, they kind of resort to saying and doing things that are just not good things. In particular, I remember an incident when we went to a popular wing place, and this was a while ago. However, we were clearly treated as though we were less than, and it wasn't just as much about my child's health issue as it was the color of our skin. We tried to work with the server, and unfortunately we weren't able to come to a solution to get foods that she could have. And a lot of places still don't want you to bring things in from the outside, so I've learned a lot since that time. But anyway, I tried to work with the manager, who clearly acted like he didn't have time. He was very dismissive, very disrespectful from the very onset of us being there. Eventually he made a comment, or actually 2 comments, that were very rude and ignorant, and I kind of had that feeling that he just didn't want to wait on us for a particular reason. But I'm very cautious when it comes to pulling a certain race card in life, because you can't base everything on race, because then you're just as ignorant as the other person. However, when he made the comments that you people always want things a certain way, you people always need things, I clearly knew right then and there what he meant by you people. So he took a health disorder that a child had and made it about race, which clearly was not the case in any way, shape, or form. My kids were there still perusing over the menus, trying to figure out something. My daughter was crying because she couldn't have anything. And in an effort to not make things any worse and say some things to him that he needed to hear about himself at that time, we got up and we left. And subsequently, I tried to make us think about it later, when I was slightly calmer. But at the end of the day, for people to say things like that or to blame something on race make no sense. In a different incident, where there's a particular grocery store that I still shop at, and I know this was not indicative of that particular store, and this one was more recent. We were in there buying some things for my daughter. This is a place where it's all inclusive, so I can buy a lot of things in one particular place. And when we got up there to the counter, the guy took a peek at everything that we were bringing up, which was just food allergen friendly foods. And I went to punch in my PIN code for my Visa debit card, because I decided to do debit instead of credit. And it didn't go through the first time. I knew I had plenty of money in the account, but apparently I must have hit a number too long or held it too long. And the first thing he looked at me and said was, "Oh, I guess your EBT card doesn't have enough money on it." Why would he assume that I had an EBT card? And if I didn't do charity work that I do, I wouldn't even know what the heck an EBT card is. And if I work every day, and if I did have an EBT card, why would you have to say that? So when every time somebody's card doesn't go through, you automatically assume that it's a food stamp card? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you assume that? That I look like I had food stamps? I mean, what does somebody like that look like? That doesn't make sense to me. And even in my own circle, I remember having someone who used to be closer to me make a comment that blacks don't get things like that, when they were talking about my daughter and her health situation. That's clearly another area of ignorance where education needs to come into play. What do you mean black people don't get that? That makes no sense. That's like saying that cancer stops at the door of a homosexual because they're homosexual, they can't get cancer. Or cancer stops at the door of a heterosexual because they're heterosexual, they can't get cancer. Or HIV and AIDS can't affect Indian people or people of Jewish descent. That doesn't make any sense at all. These are health disorders, and these disparities, they are all around the world. They're all around the country, and we need to not think that food allergy and anaphylaxis is specific to middle, upper class white people in the United States that only their kids get it. I've seen articles that say that it was a yuppie thing at one time, as I'm looking at it going, well, I'm not this yuppie person that you're describing, and neither are the kids that I've served in some inner cities, and other places who've lived in on different parts of the poverty level, whether they were in poverty, well above poverty, but they've had skin that looked like mine. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. So for anyone who believes that it's a white issue and that they're the only ones who deal with it, that doesn't make any sense. Or that it's not a black issue or it's not an Indian issue. These folks suffer from a lot of things. We've had families who can't go to celebrations. There's a bar mitzvah and they can't go because their child is isolated based on their particular issue with wheat. People don't want to be bothered with it with a child who has an airborne food allergen. Instead of making accommodations for them so that they can still be part of a celebration, then they don't want to do that. And at the end of the day, this is not a black and white thing. This is a health thing, and we need a lot of research to find a cure so that all kids, black, white, Puerto Rican, Jewish, Italian, Asian, whatever, can stop dying.